Hi everyone, I wish you well in this pandemic. I'm the current president of the ISACA Singapore chapter and the current chair of the OT-ISAC Executive Committee. ISACA is a non-profit association that provides thought leadership in governance, risk, cybersecurity, audit, and privacy. OT-ISAC is a non-profit association as well that provides community-based threat intelligence and cybersecurity best practices through information sharing analysis. In the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to share from my experience as a global CISO, how strategies can be aligned to business priorities and what does digital innovation mean to security, where the disconnect is. One needs to change both tactically and strategically to build a cyber resilient organization. This keynote sets the tone for the boardroom agenda, how to get a buy-in from the CEO and the board to invest in the resources you require. What should the board expect to understand about cybersecurity and what it can do to eliminate obstacles that prevent organizations from developing a culture of proactive security. But before I begin, just want to highlight the usual disclaimer that the views and opinions expressed in this presentation are entirely my own and do not necessarily reflect the official position of any organization. Without further ado, now, who do you think is in the driver's seat? Who do you think is giving instructions and directions in the passenger's seat? Who is the vehicle commander? As a CISO, you are in the driver's seat taking instructions from the vehicle commander, which represents the CEO and the board. Good digital governance meant the roles and responsibilities of everyone in the car is clear. We are in this together, and we have skin in the game to avoid an incident and arrive at our destination. Taking the C-suite and board on the right. We need to help them make risk-informed decisions. If any warning indicators crop up on the dashboard, we need to alert them so that all of us can arrive at our desired destination safely. 孙子上的 war applies in every adversarial situation. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the results of 100 battles. This can be applied to the pandemic and can be applied as well to the current cybersecurity threat landscape. The board needs to obtain assurance from the CISO team that threats are being adequately monitored and vulnerabilities are being adequately assessed. This comes in the form of adequate risk governance. The board needs risk reports that risks are timely identified, assessed, monitored, and managed. It is important to present news and understand insights on what works and what doesn't. For instance, why can't I simply pay the ransom, you may ask. The board may ask. How ransomware events have turned out have shown that repeat ransomware attacks hit 4 out of 5 victims who paid ransom, from repeat attacks to corrupted data and faulty decryption tools. If you have a proven track record for paying hackers, you will continue to be an excellent value proposition and a lucrative customer. You are the gift that never stops giving. In the case of Colonial Pipeline, it was given a decryption tool that does not work very well. It still suffered a week's disruption. The company may simply be better off relying on recovery from their backups if encrypted systems are the only consequence. And if you remember, again, our history lessons well, the NotPetya wiper worm attack in 2017 resulted in massive damages. Merck, one of the biggest pharmaceuticals, had it worse, with damage claim of USD 1.3 billion upwards. They bought cyber insurance. Unfortunately, many insurers do not insure if it is regarded as an act of war. Recently, it was made known that it was a lengthy legal battle between the drug giants and its insurers. It was only until recently, 5 years later, that Merck was given a win over the legal battle. However, there may be appeals we do not know. If we regard cyber insurance as a panacea, exorbitant premiums aside, we need to think again. Exclusion clauses can be a rather dicey topic. The current geopolitical situation also doesn't help in giving us sufficient faith and putting our reliance in cyber insurance. It is indeed a tricky topic when it comes to transferring risk as part of enterprise overall risk treatment plan. As shared, payouts are an issue if the breach is regarded as an act of war. And the cost of cyber insurance increased 32% last year and increased even more this year. The quotation can be marked out within a couple of days. This is how volatile the situation has been. Complicating that, limits are being reduced. Even the largest cyber insurances, AXA, had to stop reimbursing ransom payments to abide by regulatory compliance, as paying ransom seems to be akin to abetting cybercrime. Anyone knows what happened immediately after AXA stopped reimbursing ransom payments? After they did so, they became a victim of the ransomware attack. Hackers became angry with the stoppage of funds. They were targeted. Operations were impacted. To sum it up, this made cyber insurance a less effective option of the overall risk treatment plan. Good cybersecurity governance is still the preferred risk treatment approach, right? And more recently, cyber insurance brokerage Leong was breached as well. This is a concern by many enterprise customers on the possibility of a data leak. A lot of sensitive company data and private details may be sold and put these companies and persons at higher risk of ransomware attacks, phishing attacks, account takeovers as well. And dealing with this new cybersecurity normal, perception at the topmost echelons are of utmost importance. Culture has to be driven from the top. Circling to the ISACA Singapore survey, we have indeed seen most of the respondents indicate that senior management is now more concerned with cyber risk issues. The risk culture embodies the kind of approach you take towards cybersecurity and incidents. With the new cybersecurity normal, the board must understand that we need to take an assume breach mindset, not a matter of if but when incidents will happen. It's not about being 100% secure, but whether we can meet the enterprise risk appetite and ensure cyber resilience. And with supply chain 4.0, with convergence of IT and OT, engineers and cybersecurity professionals have to work closely together in OT cybersecurity as well. So it's not really about how more secure we are, but how closer we are to optimizing our risk to meet the enterprise risk appetite. So cybersecurity is just a means to an end. Cybersecurity is essentially about risk management. It's important for the board to understand their limitations to paying ransom and using cyber insurance as a means of risk transfer. There's a need to invest more heavily in operational and business resilience measures. The board needs to understand the inevitability of breach, share news about major companies being breached, understand investing in protection measures, but also investing in incident management as well as business continuity and recovery plans. Understand that the threat landscape is volatile. Managing digital risk is an ongoing journey. Maturity index may shift as risk evolves. What works yesterday may not work today. For instance, we move towards accelerated digital transformation, Industry 4.0. There may no longer be manual override and fallback. You may have to rely solely on DR, disaster recovery sites, and multi-cloud strategies as means to business continuity. Most CISOs are TISOs or technical information security officers who have climbed through the ranks from being an infrastructure or security engineer to where he is now. In the past, cybersecurity problems often relied on technical solutions, and the technical folks are heavily relied upon to solve cybersecurity issues. Life was easier then. IT was a silo. CIO is entrusted to fix cybersecurity issues in that silo. However, in this cybersecurity new normal where attacks are multifaceted, data is needed everywhere, digitalization impacts every aspect of the organization, RPA is used by every department. Therefore, we need all hands on deck. Cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility, and we need the cooperation and support from group legal, crisis comms team, corporate communications, and so forth. We need CISOs with stronger BISO or business information security officer mindsets to communicate with the business leaders. Folks who can speak the language of business resilience more than ever in this risk landscape where cybersecurity is a business resilience imperative. The ability to communicate risk in business terms and translate technical risk into business risk is key. Using analogies for illustrations is important. I use the cars and the ride in the beginning of my presentation, the role of the driver and the passenger. You can use the pandemic to illustrate the assumed breach. You can use the business must go on and the importance of detecting fast, containing fast, and recurring fast. You can use the face mask as illustration of zero trust. You don't trust anybody implicitly. You always wear your mask, whether you know the person next to you have COVID or not. Safety is often used to illustrate security. So using analogies help the board understand and appreciate technologies and approaches behind implementations and highlight the business and governance outcomes that can be achieved and how they impact the KRIs or key risk indicators. Make it easy for them to visualize. If you use technical jargon that confuses them and does not allow them to grasp the resultant governance or business outcomes, the buy-in cannot be easily achieved. As earlier shared, discussed in terms of business and governance outcomes, Nowadays, there's increased focus on ESG and sustainability. So describe how cybersecurity can support data governance and sustain business resilience. Discuss the business impact in terms of loss of revenue, in terms of loss of reputation and regulatory fines, as well as competitive advantage where it showcases a resilient by design architecture to its potential customers. One of the emerging risk trends is supply chain risk. Here is a list of questions that the board will likely ask about the increased supply chain attacks. And these are in turn the questions that CISOs and cyber teams have to answer. Ultimately, what the board is looking for is assurance that the CISOs and their cyber teams have done enough, not too much, not too little. And to give assurance, you need good key risk indicators like the alarms on your car's dashboard. You need lagging indicators for threat management, incident management, as well as leading indicators for vulnerability management and business continuity management. Ultimately, the board needs to understand and know the barometer, whether we are okay, whether we are not okay. And if not, what needs to be done. And the inputs of these key risk indicators are threat management data and vulnerability management data, as listed here. Extend this to the supply chain, right? Expect security ratings of your suppliers, expect assurance reports from your suppliers, expect your suppliers to have threat management, incident management, vulnerability management, and business continuity management scorecards as well. Finally, good risk culture starts from the top. SEC now requires board members to minimally understand cyber risk management and adopt a risk-based rather than a compliance-based mindset. Folks should not go through motion to complete a checklist, but really assess and manage the risk. Work with your HR to work out the ethos. It can be a mascot, it can be a slogan. What is your company's ethos and philosophy? Work cybersecurity into it. Allow for positive reinforcement of good cyber behavior. And this will encourage a positive culture to take root. It is my belief that we are only as strong as our ecosystem, and the only way to keep up with rising threats is to keep finding weaknesses in our own ideas. And the reason why it is important to connect with one another. I would love to hear from you, whether you agree and especially if you disagree and why. You may know something that I don't. I look forward to connecting and cross-sharing ideas, which is essentially what the community is about, to share and learn from one another. Not least, stay safe and secure.
For more updates from CXOTV, please like and subscribe to our channel.